When you talk about interviews, Hillary Clinton had an interview where she wasn't sworn in. She wasn't given the oath. They didn't take notes. They didn't record. And it was done on the 4th of July weekend. That's perhaps ridiculous, and a lot of people looked upon that as being a very serious breach, and it really was. I am for the strongest military that the United States ever had. Putin can't love that. But Hillary was not for a strong military, and Hillary, my opponent, was for windmills. And she was for other types of energy that don't have the same capacities at this moment, certainly.
That is that's so pathetic and sad that he keeps going back to campaign, talking about Hillary Clinton and windmills, talking about swinging at windmills. I mean, this is, well, we were talking about football before. Does anybody here think that Nick Saban is going to be obsessing over the Georgia Bulldogs a year from now or 6 months from now?
I don't think he's even thinking about them right now.
I mean, do you think that somebody, a CEO that takes over another company and successfully takes over another company 6 months after is thinking about how to move his or her company forward? Or are they obsessing over how they got the better of the company they took over? This is a real problem and a sickness with this guy.
It is, and there's two options here.
I'm not saying mental sickness with this guy. It's just a real problem.
There's two options. One is that he is obsessed with her.
Why is he so obsessed with her?
Well, hold on. And that would be kind of strange and maybe something.
Is it because she got 3 million more votes than him?
But I think also it may be, and this we've seen a lot with people who feel they don't have the capacity or the command of the issues. They go to things that they can handle. So he can handle bullying Hillary Clinton, someone he beat, because that will fill time instead of actually having to talk about the content.
That's like the Washington. I remember the Washington Post.
The hands.
Op-ed. I mean, when Donald Trump back in, I think it was May of 2016, went before
the Washington Post editorial board. Yeah.
That's when he named Papadopoulos one of his 2 top foreign policy people. You read the transcript of it, and it was shocking because he talked about his hands. I have the most beautiful hands. People come up to me all the time and they say, "Well, your hands, you know, they're very strong, big, beautiful hands." And he kept going on and on. And I was reading, and I said to Mika, I said, "Oh my God, he has completely lost her mind." And she said, "No, he hasn't.
He just doesn't have one."
He's running out the clock because he doesn't want them to ask him questions about policy because he knows nothing about policy.
Yeah.
And yesterday,
so he made them laugh.
Not asked about Hillary Clinton. He had to twist himself in knots to get to Hillary Clinton.
But he had to get there because that was safer.
Military, then got to Hillary's wind and energy policy. So he goes there on his own volition, not because he's asked to go there.
Yeah, and it's not really an obsession with her. I think he just needs to talk about something he feels comfortable talking about.
One thing we can establish
is, policy.
Mike, he talks about Hillary Clinton all the time.
Well, his inability to, in a phrase, let it go is both troubling, mystifying, and sort of understandable at another level. He clearly can't get over the fact that she got a lot more votes.
Yeah, that's what upsets him. She crushed him in the 3 million, over 3 million. She just crushed him over 3 million votes. He lost by 3 million votes. And every day it's in his way. When he goes to bed at night, he feels inadequate because Hillary Clinton, the worst presidential major candidate of our lifetime, crushed Donald Trump by 3 million. Just crushed him. And I think that's just hard for him to deal with the fact that he was crushed by somebody that he himself says was the worst candidate of all time. Just crushed him.
And he apparently has no one around him with the strength of character to put a hand on his shoulder and say, "You're president of the United States, okay? Look in the mirror. You are the president, not her. You."
I think they've tried. I think he's hopeless. There are some issues here that we've addressed before.
The main issue is I don't think I've said it before, but she crushed him by 3 million votes.
But he has nothing else to talk about.
And it's hard for him to cope with that. When he goes to bed at night, he's like, God,
Yeah.
I lost by 3 million
Joe,
people.
you know, if there are
Look.
these morning hosts every day who are reminding him of how badly he lost, it's got to be hard to let go.
Nobody ever talks about it.
Throwing it in his face there.
Only he talks about it.
No.
And I guess it's because he was crushed
Good he
by her
doesn't
by 3
watch,
million
because
votes.
then he would hear us
God.
speaking very clearly in language he might understand.
Can you imagine
So we showed
running
you.
in somebody you consider to be the worst candidate of all time and losing by 3 million votes?
It's terrible.
That has to sting.
That's like being a loser. All right, so we showed you.
Ow, that hurts.
Stop talking to him.
3 million votes.
All right, so we showed you.
I'd bury my head. I'd just go and bury my head somewhere in the backyard, even, I guess, if I were president. So maybe it does make sense. He should be ashamed.
Those were two of the
Losing to
times that
Hillary
the
Clinton.
president obsessed about Hillary Clinton
How
on
do you
mic.
lose to Hillary
So you
Clinton by
don't
3
know
million
exactly
votes?
how much, if it happens on mic 2 times in the course of a day. It must be happening a lot off mic because the president
He's
is
obsessed
focusing
with
on
her.
this.
Focusing,
But in
obsessed
an
on losing by
interview-
3 million votes to Hillary Clinton.
In an interview last night, the president's senior advisor, the one who I say is not credible enough to be on this show because nothing she says is true, she said, quote, "So many people simply can't get over the 2016 presidential election," adding, quote, "Thanks, Kellyanne, for more truths. We don't care about her. Nobody here talks about her. Nobody here talks about Hillary Clinton. I promise you."
I promise you. So she gives a promise, Heidi, that night after her boss, her president, obsesses in a press conference.
Was it in the West
over
Wing?
and over again. I think it was in the East Room.
Wow.
He's obsessing over Hillary Clinton.
Can I just say, one of the great ironies of the 2016 election is that in the postmortem, Hillary Clinton was really beat up for running a campaign highlighting Trump's temperament instead of the quote-unquote issues. And now we have this poll coming out, and what is the #1 issue? At 81% of people saying that they believe that he's not level-headed, that he doesn't have the temperament.
I think that's young
that would,
people, especially
young
who
people,
feel that way.
I apologize. Yeah,
And
right, young people
for the
who feel that way.
president's language, someone would have to say hot people. That might
Right.
matter to him.
What?
Well, he likes young, hot, whatever, so.
Were all the people in the survey hot?
Absolutely, because they're young, and he's kind of like, duh.
Quinnipiac. It was our annual.
Hot people don't like you,
Winter
President.
hot list.
Now that would matter to him.
I'm confused. Anyway.
No, it's pretty simple.
So, Nick, we have to go, but he does have, of course, he does have an obsession with Hillary Clinton, and we only bring it up 8,000 times after he brings it up just to kind of have a little fun. But he is obsessed with Hillary Clinton. But Kellyanne Conway is doing, what does she call it? Alternative facts?
Well, look, I'm perfectly willing to believe that there is no
Lies.
one else in the White House besides the president who obsesses about Hillary Clinton. But for the president, it's his happy place. His triumph over her is the great success of his career so far. He has not topped it as president in the Oval Office. He's had a very rocky first year. I'm not surprised that he goes back to the scene of the victory and he's like, "Hi, I beat her, I beat her, I beat her."
Yeah, but it's funny. I don't know if you know this or not, but you just said the word victory. I'm not. What?
But,
I don't
he
know-
is
I don't-
president. He is,
Yeah.
he is,
Yeah, but I don't know if
he
you
is
know.
enough.
president.
Right, I don't know if you know this or not.
There's 3 million.
Some numbers?
Yeah, I think
Joe.
so. Where are the numbers? I wish I knew how to go into Google because I think he lost by what? How many votes did he lose by in the popular vote?
Over 2 million.
I think it's like close to 3 million votes, so you know that, right?
Were a lot of those people
It's a lot
hot?
of people.
I don't know, but they were smart.
Coming up.
That's the total. His problem with the Russia investigation is not that Russia interfered, it's that it somehow delegitimizes his victory over Hillary Clinton. It all goes back to that.
By victory with an asterisk. But it's funny. It's like yesterday he accused Hillary of collusion with the Russians. I think he accused Hillary of collusion with the Russians. He said, "I didn't collude with the Russians."
It's just
Hillary.
time to go.
Yeah,
Okay,
and he's been
so,
doing that. He's been doing that
Joe,
for weeks.
It's funny because it's so sad.
As Krusty the Clown said,
Coming
it's
up.
funny because it's true. Hey, can I ask you guys a question? My daughter,
Mika's face.
my daughter has written her first letter to the editor.
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, she wrote.
I know.
Oh, I know, and
She told me.
I know this is going to be shocking. She's,
Okay.
Kate's very
Yeah.
calm and very steady.
No, she's not happy about
Boy, when she starts writing it,
She writing?
I think
New
she
York
wrote to the
Times.
New York Times, letter to the editor, and it's about the Electoral College. And she's against it. She thinks it undermines one person, one vote. And I was explaining why it was a good idea. And after about 30 minutes of it, I started thinking, wait, in this century alone, we have elected 2 presidents who lost the popular vote. Now, the first time it happened, it was a fluke. I think it happened, what, maybe in 1876? I think Tilden, I'm guessing. But if that keeps happening, if we have a third election where the President of the United States is the person who gets less votes, that is the point. It starts becoming the rule and not the exception. It delegitimizes the idea of one person, one vote. And aren't we really going to have to get rid of the electoral system? We can't keep having presidents.
No.
If this happens once a century, you're like, okay, well, you know what? That happens.
Listen,
but
it could well happen next time out.
Twice.
It could well happen next time
It's
out.
happened twice with our last 3 presidents.
You get a third-party candidate in 2020, it could well happen again.
All right, coming up.
So are you against the electoral system?
I'm certainly
moving that way.
Yes.
I've always been for it. It is a hard thing to explain, I'll grant you, to an 8 or a 10-year-old, which I have. Wait a minute.
No.
This person got more votes and they lost, so you have to dig in a little and explain it to them. But I think there will be young people who question it, absolutely.
If it happens again, it just...
Did her letter help convince you?
Of course it did. She's very persuasive, Kate.
Yes.
But she'd been bad. Catherine.
Yeah.
But Nick, it is at some point Americans are going to say, wait a second, why does the person that and this isn't about Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. This is about George W. Bush winning, and which I was certainly for, and Donald Trump winning. But if it happens again a third time in, let's say, a quarter century, we have to get rid of the Electoral College.
Look, it probably will happen again because it's a consequence of what's happening in our politics. It's a consequence of polarization. It's a consequence of the partisan divide being layered over the divide between cities and rural areas. And the more that being a Democrat means being in a city and vice versa, the more we're going to see these kind of disjunctures between the popular vote and the Electoral College. And it's a real crisis.
Coming up, the president wants to make it easier to sue people who writes things that he doesn't like.
Boy, no, he doesn't.
This guy is
This guy would be sued by so many people.
I don't know what it's going to take.
Maybe even me, if there were a lower standard
We'll
for
talk
defamation.
to legal scholar Jonathan Turley, who says there's little Trump can do to alter our libel laws, and that's a good thing. Morning Joe is coming right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.